When God brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, they took the bones of Joseph with them. They wandered 40 years in the desert. Then they brought Joseph's bones. Check this out.
You may not have heard of Israel's biblical heartland, you may not have heard of Judea and Samaria, but I'm gonna guess there's a 99% chance you've heard of either the West Bank or the occupied territories. You've definitely heard about the idea of a two-state solution, a Palestinian state being built and established right here. The world and the media is absolutely obsessed with the piece of real estate that I'm standing on right now, with all of this area right behind me. Countless world leaders, they've tried to cut deals and divide this land up. Today, we're gonna show you more of what is actually happening, boots on the ground.
Right now, we're overlooking the town of Shechem. It's right there in the Bible. This is where Joseph is buried. Jacob buys the field. Numerous plots with the same stories, biblical account after biblical account, have now been restricted from Jewish access to these areas.
What a lot of people don't realize, though, is that when Israel signed the agreement with the Palestinians for peace to give this area to them, they stipulated in that agreement that Joseph's tomb complex, it's just a very small building down there, would be left all-time access for Jews. So Jews at any time could come into the city and they could come and visit Joseph's tomb. But just 1 year after they signed the agreement with the Palestinians, the tomb was attacked. It was a big, huge attack. And then the next coming 5 years, it was attacked multiple times after that, leading to the eventual withdrawal of Israel's forces in the year 2000, leaving the tomb completely in the hands of the Palestinians. No access for Jews. Right now, Jews can only go and visit that tomb under full IDF military escort, and only then, that's several times a year, and most of the time they get attacked while they go in there. So for a Jew to visit that biblical site is almost suicide unless they go with an IDF escort. For Christians, I would say it's actually very dangerous to go in and try to visit this site inside this Palestinian city. Very clear illustration that when you give away the biblical sites to the Palestinians, they do not preserve them and they do not preserve access to Christians and Jews to come and visit the site.
Guys, we're talking about Samaria, the hundreds of sites that are in jeopardy of being lost, Jewish visitors not being able to go to. The site that we're about to go to now is one that you know very well, but you don't know what could happen. Guys, this is incredible. People gotta know what's going on in Judea.
We are at a location right now in the Judean desert. But the reason we brought you here is because one of the most significant and important discoveries of all times, potentially, was made right here. And wait for it, because your mind is about to be blown. This spot is in Judea and Samaria. Let's go check it out.
Guys, in 1947, there was a Bedouin shepherd boy, threw a rock randomly into a cave. He heard pottery breaking in the back and went on to make one of the most fantastic discoveries of the 20th century. Scrolls, probably written by the Essenes, that went on to validate the Bible as we know it today in more ways than properly can be even discussed like in this video.
The Dead Sea Scrolls, found right here at Qumran. Everyone knows about this, guys, but what you don't know is it's actually here in Judea. We're in Judea, that so-called West Bank. Guys, this ancient homeland of the Jewish people. Right behind us is the Dead Sea. I bet you didn't know that either. Dead Sea. Majority of the Dead Sea is inside Judea. Judea, Samaria, this land, the ancient homeland of the Jewish people. For Christians out there, John baptized people right at the entrance of the Jordan River into the Dead Sea here, just as well, right here on top of this location. So again, the Bible, it's here. This is where it happened.
Site after site after site after site that you, if you're a Christian or even just growing up in Western culture, know probably straight from the top of your head, biblical sites are here in Judea and Samaria. Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing that each and every one of these sites, including here in Qumran, would be given away. And as we saw this morning in Joseph's tomb, the access to Jews and Christians would be lost. Absolutely would be lost if a two-state solution were created here in Judea and Samaria.
I just want to take a second to emphasize that we are above the Dead Sea. We're at the northern end of the Dead Sea, but the green line, which is the line that borders Judea and Samaria, and which was the 1967 ceasefire line, goes much further south than where I'm at right now. Approximately 2/3 of the Dead Sea is inside what the world calls the West Bank. So we're talking biblical sites, but we're also talking modern geography. Every single tour to Israel obviously comes to the Dead Sea. It's a world-renowned site. And yet, most of this heritage site behind me would be inside the Palestinian state. It's currently inside Judea and Samaria. I just want to let that sink in, even though you can't sink in the Dead Sea because you float, because there's so much salt. You know what I mean? We'll be back with the rest of today's episode in just a second. The biblical heartland of Judea and Samaria is home to so many sites of amazing significance, and yet it's at constant risk of being torn from Israel and turned into a Palestinian state. We want to tell you about a way you can directly support the Jewish people who are holding on to this crucial land. Better yet, you can enjoy beautiful and delicious products from these very places. Enjoy olive oil from Shiloh, jewelry from the Hebron area, cosmetics and ceramics from near Shechem and the Mount of Blessing. And that's not all. Our friends at Blessed by Israel, that's Blessed BUI Israel, offer a whole host of amazing products from small businesses and families in the biblical heartland of Israel. Your purchase of these products is an investment in Israel's security and for the flourishing of the Promised Land. Head over to blessedbuiisrael.com and make your impact today. You can even use the promo code INVEST for $5 off your first order at blessedbuiisrael.com or click the link in the description below. Now, back to the episode. Just to give you a visual, Dead Sea on our left, Jordan over there. We're in the Judean desert. You guys are probably thinking, it's the Dead Sea, it's Israel, it's where I would go on a tour. But guess what? You might not go here, because this is the West Bank, what the world calls the West Bank anyways. If you're on a tour to Israel, you might be driving around the other direction to come up on the southern side to be in what they call Israel proper. The reality is, most of the Dead Sea, right here, in Israel's heartland, and it would be lost under a Palestinian state. We're gonna drive all the way to the border, where there's basically a little checkpoint going out of Judea, just to give you the visual of how far the Dead Sea goes. Let's do it.
Yeah. We need to mention that we're right on the border. Okay, we've made it. We are literally at the shores of the Dead Sea. Above us is the crossing between that green line crossing where we have Samaria, Judea to the north, and Israel proper, as they call it, down here to the south into the desert. It's just for you.
Let me get in. Yeah, we just looked up the stats a few minutes ago, and a stat said that 1 million tourists come to the Dead Sea every year. It's the third most tourist site here in Israel. So if all this was lost in a Palestinian state, then the number of tourists coming here to the Dead Sea would go down by a lot.
Well, as you see in the Oslo Accords in Samaria, as we showed you earlier, well, same would be here. Maybe even an agreement, they may say, oh, you'll be able to visit, you'll be able to travel the biblical highway, or you'll be able to visit Joseph's tomb or all these other biblical sites. Well, the fact is you can't today, and that's what we're showing you here. If this becomes a Palestinian state, 1 million visitors to the Dead Sea, to this area of the Dead Sea would be closed off.
Yeah.
Let's get
Get in?
Okay.
Oh, brother. It's hot.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay, water's not bad, actually. Oh, yeah.
So nice.
I'm floating right now. And my toes are all muddy.
You know, 1 million tourists come every year to visit the Dead Sea. That's where we're sitting right now.
Mm-hmm.
What they don't know is that the Dead Sea is actually majority inside the West Bank. So if they get their way and the international community establishes a Palestinian state right in Israel's heartland, they have to get rid of the majority of the Dead Sea. I don't think anybody knows that. Justin, you see that as a problem?
Yeah, kind of a big problem.
The goal of this series has been to introduce you to Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria, Israel's heartland, what the world falsely calls the West Bank, and the actual borders of what would be a Palestinian state if the world had their way. We started out on the western slopes of Samaria, overlooking Ben Gurion Airport, overlooking the majority of the population of Israel, Tel Aviv, the coastline. We went to northern Samaria. We went to the foothills of the Jezreel Valley up in central Israel. And today we've driven through the Jordan Valley all the way 2/3 of the way down south of the Dead Sea. And everything you've seen today has been inside Judea and Samaria. It's absolutely crazy.
Now, imagine if Israel decided to declare sovereignty in Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria. The question would arise, what would happen to the nearly 2 million Arabs that live here in the so-called West Bank? Well, we have an idea for you. Pretty simple, actually. Just kick out every single Palestinian that is a terrorist, that wants to kill Jews, that attacks Jewish people, and then map out a journey for the rest of them to become residents of Israel. This would start Israel's biblical heartland on a journey of economic prosperity that would benefit everyone, both Arab and Jew. Guys, declaring sovereignty in Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria benefits the entire world.